Hello everyone, Gentleman here with another Epic 7 video. For this video, I wanted to help out anyone out there who might be having a hard time selecting their free artifact from the Azirian Foundation check-in event. This type of reward doesn't come by very often, so it's important to make the best decision possible for you and your account, which is why it can be extremely overwhelming, even more so after seeing just how many artifacts there are to choose from. But that's why I'm here today and the purpose for this video. I will be narrowing down the best options as much as possible, so I won't be going over any artifacts that I wouldn't consider to be strong contenders in order to make this video fast and go straight to the point. So yeah guys, if you enjoy this type of videos, please consider liking and subscribing. It truly helps me out a lot. I really appreciate all the support. But okay, let's dive in. So let's start off by looking at the warrior artifacts. And here, I would say you only need to look at 3 of these artifacts. Number 1, Sacred Sight. Number 2, Golden Rose. And number 3, Merciless Glutton. In my opinion, the best one for sure is going to be Sacred Sight. Just because this is one of those universal artifacts that can go on any one of your warrior characters. As we can see right here, when the caster's health is 50% or less, it increases attack by 25%. And after attacking, absorbs 25 up to 50% of the damage dealt as health. So this is really good to help your warrior character stay nice and healthy, right? It increases their attack by a nice chunk, which in turn allows them to dish out more damage and recover more health. So really good and an absolute best in slot for a lot of warrior heroes. The other one I would suggest is Golden Rose because it kind of does the same thing, except this one, when attacking, if the caster's health is 50% or more, increases damage dealt by up to 16%, and when health is less than 50%, recovers up to 30% of damage dealt. So pretty much does the same thing, right? It increases your attack and basically you're able to get health based on the amount of damage that you dealt. But this one only does more damage when your health is over 50% and you recover health when your health is less than 50%. So the same thing, right? In a way, except these percentages are gonna be slightly lower, which is why I think Secret Sight is still the better option. And lastly, Merciless Glutton. You know, I wouldn't say this is better than the other two, but I like it just because this is another one of those universal artifacts that can go on just about any warrior hero, as long as they do single attack targets, right? Because whenever using a single attack, increases damage dealt by up to 16%, and when defeating the enemy with a single attack, increases combat readiness of all allies, except for the caster, by up to 12%. So this one is also really good in PvE, right? Because you're going to be killing a lot of, monsters and mobs or whatever. So you'll be able to proc the extra combat readiness a lot more often. And just the extra bit of attack, is really nice as well. So yeah, very universal artifact. You can put it on any hero, any warrior hero, of course, as long as they do single attack damage. But of course, my number 1 option will still be Sacred Sight. Okay. Moving on to the Knights. Here, I would also say there's only one clear option, and that will be Elbrus Ritual. Just because this one is really good and a very unique artifact that can also be a best in slot for a lot of Knight heroes. So this one gives you a 20% chance to counter attack whenever an ally except for the caster is attacked. So this is really good because this percentage is not only, it's not just overall, right? This percentage counts for every single character on your team. So if the enemy does an AoE attack and it hits your entire team, well, that's going to be up to a 60% chance to counterattack. So really high chance of counterattacking. So really good artifact. Like I said, best in slot for a lot of Knight heroes. And yeah, you cannot have enough copies of this artifact. There's going to be quite a few heroes that use this a lot. So yeah, stocking up on this is never a bad idea. Other honorable mentions might be Holy Sacrifice. This one basically gives you up to a 100% chance to revive your Knight hero when they die with up to 25% health and a barrier for 1 turn. So really good to, you know, revive your knights and help your team stay, you know, nice and stable. The other good one is going to be Crown of Glory, just because whenever you suffer an attack that targets all allies, it decreases the damage suffered by up to 20% and removes 5 souls from the enemy. So this is really good because it helps throw off your the enemy team if they were planning on using their souls, right? Soul burning to do some type of crazy effect with their characters, because you'll be able to remove 5 souls from them and, you know, kind of throwing them back a little bit. So yeah, another really decent one that can help you out in PvP quite a lot. But moving on to the Thief artifacts, this one's going to be a little bit tricky just because a lot of these artifacts are actually really good. But for the most part, they're also going to be kind of like best in slot for 1 or 2 characters. So I'll try to narrow it down to 2 artifacts that I think are a little bit more universal, or at least a little bit stronger than the other ones. And the first one is going to be RNL, Rihanna and Lucilia. This one gives you up to a 20% chance to be granted an extra turn at the end of the turn. Can only be activated once per turn. So this one's really good. When you put this artifact on a Thief hero that already has an extra attack intrinsically, right? Like one of their skills says, like, you know, activate this skill and then you get an extra turn. Just because that will give you basically 2 chances of activating this effect. So if you do the skill and then you don't proc this, well, that's okay because you still have another turn. And then you activate that skill and then maybe this artifact procs, and now you have an extra turn on top of that. So this one helps you cycle out your turns like crazy if this keeps on proccing. So really good and really unique. Not to mention best in slot for some of the most meta characters in the game, such as Peyra and Ren. So really good. The other one will be Wind Rider. This one's also really good because it just gives you so much more extra damage for your Thief heroes. And most Thief heroes are going to be very damage heavy, but very squishy, right? So the great thing about this one is that it also grants you stealth, as we'll see right here. So it increases your attack by up to 20% flat out, so that's really good right off the bat. And then when the caster defeats an enemy with an attack, you know, it casts stealth for 1 turn and increases attack of the caster by 40% for 1 turn at the start of the next turn. So really good to help out, dish out a lot of damage in the first turn, which in turn will hopefully kill whatever enemy you're targeting, which will grant you stealth. That should help you, you know, stay nice and alive until your next turn. And then whenever that next turn comes out, you will be doing a lot more damage on that other turn as well. So really good, you know, it's kind of a snowball effect. You know, you do damage, you kill, you stealth, you stay alive, next turn comes by, and then you do a lot more damage as well. So really dangerous artifact, really strong. And I also don't know where this artifact drops. So yeah, that's another good reason to get it, because artifacts like this one are very sneaky and very hard to come by whenever they don't have a specific character they drop from in their, you know, in their banners. So a really good one to keep in mind. And it's also kind of the same situation for RNL. I think this one drops with a character that is not good at all. So, you know, it kind of sucks having to summon on a banner where the hero sucks, but you really just want to get the artifact. So these 2 are really good options to, you know, help you skip the banners maybe, and then just go straight for the artifact. So yeah, moving on to the Ranger artifacts. This one's probably going to be, you know, not really good. I wouldn't really suggest you summoning from any one of these artifacts, just because the Ranger artifact slot is usually taken by the Guiding Light. However, this artifact is limited, which cannot be obtained from the free artifact selector. So, you know, kind of sucks. But yeah, other than this one, there aren't really any other options that are worthy of your free artifact selector. Moving on to the Mage, kind of the same situation, just because the best Mage artifact is going to be Book, and it's a 4-star artifact, so yeah, keep that in mind. But yeah, most mages are going to be using Book. However, the other artifact that I would consider to be worthy of your free artifact selector will be Abyssal Crown. This one gives you up to a 24% chance to stun the enemy for 1 turn after attacking. So put this on a character like Politis, where she attacks the entire enemy team, and it has a really good chance of stunning at least one of the enemy characters, right? And that might just be enough to help you either win a game or take the edge. So really, really good on mage heroes that do AoE attacks and even single attacks, right? Like if your character attacks, you know you will always have a chance of stunning that enemy. So really, really strong. Other than that, I wouldn't really consider any other artifact to be as strong as either their limited ones like Fairy Tale for a Nightmare, a book, a 4-star artifact, or Abyssal Crown. So yeah. Moving on to the last one, Soul Weavers. Here, there's also maybe 2 that I would consider worthy. Guardian Ice Crystals is the best Soul Weaver artifact. However, this is a limited artifact, so you cannot select it from this free artifact selector. The other one I would suggest instead of this one would be Rod of Amaryllis. This is probably the second best alternative to that artifact, just because it also gives you tons of extra healing on top of the healing that you might already be doing. So it heals the ally with the lowest health by up to 24% after using a non-attack skill. So you normally will want to put this artifact on a character that has 2 skills that are non-attack skills, right? Like a skill 2 and skill 3. That way you can cycle these heals more and more often, and yeah, you know, in turn give you way more bang for your buck. The other one will be Shimadra's Staff, just because this one does, you know, a lot. So yeah, it increases effect resistance of all allies by 20%, which is nice, and the effect of healing received by all allies by up to 40%. So massive extra heals, you know, a lot of extra effect resistance, and it's very, very useful if you're trying to play a more, you know, like passive play style where you have a lot of tanky characters, you're able to resist a lot of debuffs, etc. This is a must-have type of artifact for that type of play style. But yeah, other than that, all the other artifacts are really decent, really good in their own unique ways. A lot of them also just do extra healing, extra cleansing, or whatever. But yeah, out of all of these, I would say Rod of Amaryllis and Shimadra's Staff might be the most effective ones at what they do. But yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully this was helpful and insightful. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much. I try to keep this as you know, as quick as possible. But yeah, guys, my number one advice, aside from what we just went through, is look at what artifacts you already have and look at the characters that you use the most. Where are you lacking artifacts? Are all your warriors like running on 3 stars, 4 stars, or whatever? You know, do you have a knight that is you know, could definitely use Elvish Ritual? Yeah, just keep that in mind. Look at your artifacts, see what you're missing, which characters, you know, which type of characters, right? Warriors, thieves, or whatever, might be lacking the most in the artifact department, and maybe that way you'll be able to narrow down even more which artifact is the best one for you. But again, thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you, phone. Consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you all on the next one. Laters.